Hi there, welcome to APT Wyckoff session. So we'll quickly look at the current stage where APT is at, as well as the key support resistance levels, plus any daily trend that's forming in the charts. Let's quickly into the weekly. So here, after the buying climax, and there's an LPSY over here. No second test basically, or you can call this a second test, this mini one, but I plan to call this an LPSY, the last point of supply. Then eventually it came down to where the selling climax was. It's time to add the tag as well. And then this automatic rally over here, the preliminary support roughly over here, and then so obviously that's over there. Here we're seeing currently subsequent test. You can call that second test or just test to make it simple. So tests can always go lower and lower. So even say this one in Wyckoff, we can call this spring, but it doesn't matter. So basically those are the points where the market in total is being tested, whether there are still leftover supply that like people are holding and not willing to give up. At those points, the price has gone that low that it's basically scared of maybe 90–95% of people, and that's when the momentum starts to build up from there. So we can see crazy red candles or a series of red candles all the way down, and then maybe people come up to buy the dip. They come buy the dip, but then okay, somebody push it further down and then it scared a whole bunch of people away, and there is like multiple rounds of this a lot of times. Sometimes it's pretty short and maybe just 1 or 2 rounds, but over here we see multiple tests before the price basically start to go crazily high into the distribution cycle again. So currently that's where APT is, and the support level, it's being shown by this week's candle as well as last week's candle already. So actually three candles over here showing us where the support level is. It's basically this white line over here at around $3.8. That's also near the bottom back in like December 2022. APT is relatively young, so that's as much a reference we can get. However, it seems it's good enough. And then interesting part also, you see these lower and lower buying climax peaks. So be really careful if you think you are trying to hodl it and like wait for the long term. Keep an eye on the development of APTOS and like whether its ecosystem is growing, whether the developers community is growing, and are there any risks surrounding it, or like any new competitors coming out, competitive chain coming out. So that's all associated with this trend. So if it's really losing its competitive edge, the peaks will become just lower and lower to a point where you don't see much going on. There are examples in other altcoins. I hope APT won't be the same, but you know, just to manage your risk if you are trying to get in at this point in time. So that's again something beyond technical analysis. So here, if you ask, okay, what's the next support line then, given we have this 3.8? The only reference other than the one that it's started at the very beginning at around $1, maybe it would be something like this over here, this 3.1. So after 3.8 it would be 3.1 over here, and resistance level, let's change it to yellow, it would be around this level. So you see this peak over here, right? And then the valley, the trough, here as well, and a bunch of other smaller candles over here just last month. So I would pick this as the resistance level. This is around $5.30 roughly. Okay, and I have accidentally changed the line color that I don't meant to. So okay, now it's working. So we talked about 5.3. So what's the next level? It will be, drum roll, this one over here. Why? Why is it 6.73 roughly, 72573? Let's make it orange. So the reason is because, again, if we look at these candles activities, these wicks, also these as well, and also this automatic rally. So those are the 4 points I took reference when drawing this second resistance line at 6.7 roughly. Okay, so we've got 2 support, 2 resistance. Next, what's the daily trend, right? If we go to the daily chart, currently, sorry, let's get rid of this line and change it to here. I know you see I try to maneuver the chart a lot because quite a lot of people are watching it on the mobile device, so I have to always do this zoom in thing. So here, and well, you can say there are multiple trends happened like since February, but I'll skip those and instead look at just say starting from April. We see this trend over here, and then it eventually died down. Spent too much time on these past ones, but you basically, I just want to give you a quick look at what actually happens back in like in a month or two's time. And then eventually it went up, came down a couple of times, and eventually now we are at a point where the price just broke out of a downward trend. So if we take a look at this, we see there was a downward trend started somewhere in late May, and then eventually just 2 days ago the price has broken above it. So obviously you can include something further that's a different slope, but still it pretty much encapsulates the price actions over the course of 1.5 months now, since mid-May till now, end of June, near end of June. So currently, if we see the price of the past 2 days, it found support above the top edge of the box. So in terms of daily, a new trend seems to be building up, but then it's probably going to be quite a lot of price swings as well if we look at this volume bars over here. So after this big push, there was a lot of change of hands as well. This red bar isn't too short, and today much less, only like half of yesterday and like a third, or maybe roughly 30% of Tuesday. So the trading volume is getting lower and lower. So be careful if this signifies that there is a resistance over here. So there's significant selling force at when the price gets to that level. That's why the candles in these 3 days all get a wick over there. So maybe it's getting to an equilibrium, so people think, okay, maybe this 4.95 or like somewhere around 4.95, it's where the price should be at least for these 2-3 days. But then keep an eye on where it's heading next, because like I said, this yellow and white line are the resistance and support levels, so the price can pretty much swing between these two before a new trend has been established. So that's for